Hey guys, so I'm currently in the shower. I'm in Albania, country number 22, and I'm actually going to be cutting my hair for the second time on this trip. The first time was only like 1/4 of an inch. It was the first time in my whole life that I cut my hair, and now I'm just kind of like, I'm getting so sick of it. I mean, it's long, it just feels ratty, and it's not really like super fun to travel with. I traveled for 2 years, and I didn't cut my hair in all those 2 years because I just don't, quite frankly, really care. I've never really cared until I moved to like LA a couple years ago, and I was like, I should start taking better care of myself now that I'm getting older. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I'm ready to, maybe I'll cut like an inch off or something. I don't know. It won't be till Christmas that I get my hair cut again, and I'm kind of like, I don't really want to spend the money and get it cut in a foreign place. I have to worry about it. So I'm gonna try and do this right now. I don't really know what to do, but let's see.
I love you like la 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 la. I love you like la 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 la. I love you like la 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 la. I love you like la 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 la.
So, all right, hopefully that was cool. If not, oh well. Ciao!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, but more specifically, welcome back to Storytime, where I tell stories from my experiences in every single country around the world. Today, I'm going to be talking about my experience in Albania. So without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, so I visited Albania September 21st of 2015. So just a couple months after I started my expedition around the world. This is the stamp right here, actually. Albanians speak the language of Albanian, and the main religions are Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox, with Macedonia, Montenegro, Greece, and Kosovo as its borders. Albania is known as more of a developing country, much like Eastern Europe, though they have seen a lot of economic improvements since 2014 and are on a higher trajectory of economic growth. My experience in Albania was really incredible, to be honest. This is actually my journal from Albania, so I made sure to make notes in my phone, and thank God for iCloud backup, because this is from October 7th, 2015. This journal, I haven't touched this or edited it, and I'm really glad I have it because it just allows me to kind of go back in time and ensure that I have the correct story and information that I can remember, being able to go back on these journals. And I made sure to journal on every single country in the world. So it's just about finding those journals. Some of them are in my notes here, some of them are on my computer, and some of them are on my hard drive. So it's just about locating all those journals. I also tried to email myself each journal that I wrote. In the case that any of my electronics were stolen or somehow iCloud didn't work, I had it all backed up at a different location as well. So I don't mess up anything, I'm gonna read to you my journal from Albania. September 21st, 2015 to September 24th, 2015. So I arrived on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. I was there for 4 full days, and honestly, it felt like a lot of time. I went up into the mountains, and I was able to really just digress and absorb the Albanian Alps. So let's go. I stayed the night in this luxe hotel, but it was really more kind of mediocre compared to American standards. It was more like a bed and breakfast type deal. It was 50 euros a night. After a horrible night crossing the Adriatic Sea from Bari, Italy, which, quick fact, I worked there for, I think, about 3 months back in my early 20s, I was pleasantly surprised with the beauty and amenities of this bed and breakfast. The woman at the front desk was able to check me in early. I was in my room at around 10:30 a.m. I took a 2-hour nap since I got 0 sleep on the ferry because of the storm and bed bugs. I wonder if there's bed bugs in here. I'm kind of like itching at this point, so I'm praying no. I don't know. I completely forgot about that. Like, oh, if I didn't have this journal, like I was trying to think for this video, what was it like for me to go from, how did I even get to Albania? Honestly, this was 5 years ago now, and in that time I was like traveling every single country in the world. So to remember the little details of how I got somewhere, especially in Europe, when you can get around by train really easily, or by ship or boat or bus, I mean, the transportation to some places was sometimes the most memorable of a lot of my experiences, but you know, to get around Europe, it can be pretty easy. I would have completely forgot about that. What I would have remembered was the ferry from Sicily, Italy, going to Tunis, Tunisia. That was a ferry ride that I'll never forget. Also, Ushuaia to Antarctica, crossing the Drake Passage. That was something, you know, I'll never forget. But this sort of thing, I would have never remembered. So I'm grateful for this. I knew I might be in the mountains, so I think I decided to FaceTime with my family on that ferry going from Bari to Albania. And I was really bummed that I couldn't be home. I'm just like recalling this right now. It's really weird.
You know, one of the saddest things about traveling and this sort of trip is that you don't get to see your family as much as you wish, and it's my grandma's 90th birthday today, and I can't even get... Everyone's having a party for her at the Hopkins Inn, and I can't be there, and I'm trying to get through to her and call her and FaceTime and Skype, and it's not working because my internet... Here I am about to board the ship. We're taking off right now as we speak, and my cell phone reception is going to give out, and I won't have a chance.
This is what the story time is all about, though, is me not just like speaking off the bat of the stories that I've told over and over and over again, like which are engraved in my head. I'm actually taking a moment to like dive deep into the back of my mind where I have these memories and just recalling them like really deeply. That's what the story time is about. I also have right here in my email that I arrived in Durrës. So then I went from Durrës to Tirana to Shkodër. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Shkodër to Thethe, and Thethe to Kosovo, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I arrived in Durrës from Bari, and that night was legit Titanic. I feel like in a Titanic version. This is my room. 515. No one that is in here with me, but which bed do I take? I'm thinking that one. I don't know. Crazy, intense. In the middle of the Adriatic Sea right now. It's 3 a.m. There's a big storm, and I'm actually kind of nervous right now.
Alright, so it's 3:19 in the morning. It's September 21st. I'm on a boat, a ferry going from Bari to Durrës, Albania. And we're in the middle of the Adriatic, and there's a huge storm going on outside. There was a pretty big lightning thunder storm in Bari when we left, but I figured it would kind of like cool down as we headed east, but it turns out it's not. And actually I'm pretty nervous because I've never been out in the sea in the middle of a storm, and you just see all those movies, and I'm trying to go to sleep, but there's banging and rain and bumpiness, and I'm not really doing that great in it. All I can think about is survival mode. What happens if I'm trying not to think about it, but and I should go outside and get some footage for you guys of it, but I'm afraid if I do, then I'm just going to become more freaked out, and there's really no way to escape it, so I just really have to kind of suck it up for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 hours until we get there. But at least in a couple hours it should be, or 3 hours, it should be kind of sunlight, and it should make things a little better. But I've had a rough day, and I'm really just kind of not really having the best time tonight, and then that's pretty much it. Talk to you soon.
I didn't sleep much. So in my budget, and I've talked about this before, I had a specific amount set aside for places where I needed to kind of either get a good night's rest if I didn't sleep in 65 hours, or if I felt that it wasn't a safe area necessarily. And so I would allocate those funds to those hotels. Otherwise, it didn't really matter what kind of hotel I stayed in, as long as it was safe enough, relatively safe. I mean, I stayed in Airbnbs as well. Safe enough and had Wi-Fi so that I could get all my work done, adhere to my sponsors, and plan the next student meetings, and also ensure that I could lock the door with my belongings inside. I didn't share bunks with anyone. If I did stay in a hostel, I didn't stay in a shared room because I was just so concerned with my equipment and also needing to get work done and have a good night's sleep for the next travel day. Also, I do want to say, before my travels to every country in the world, I backpacked for like 2.5 years to like 25 different countries, lived in 9 of them. So my experience with traveling in a rustic, backpacking, nomadic way, I had kind of like been there, done beyond that. This was, like I said, a business trip, a way to change the world, create a career for myself, see the world, but not just see it myself, share my experiences with the world in some way or another. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. This is one way right here, but you know, through speaking engagements, through going back to specific countries and helping them. This was an educational, purposeful trip. So I put that in the business category, not nomadic backpacking, just to like find myself and have a fun experience. I had been there and done that. And when I did, I stayed in hostels, I slept in train stations, like it really didn't matter. And I didn't have expensive belongings that I was really worried about. Once I arrived, I was able to sit and have an octopus salad and get about 8 hours of work done, which was fantastic. One thing I'll note was that I was behind on work a lot. To fund a trip to every country in the world involves immense work. I mean, you can travel to every country in the world in a short period of time, but you're gonna have to work a lot throughout your entire travels to ensure that you can afford it. Or you can travel to every country in the world over the span of like 10 years or a long period of time, which I know people who have. In those cases, you can take breaks from work and fully immerse yourself and enjoy your travels and not have to work whilst you're there. I mean, that's the goal, right? That's something that we wish we could all do. I couldn't do that. And I knew I had to get this trip done by 30. And there's a lot more to that, but maybe I'll get into that later. Maybe some of you guys already know. I've talked about this a lot. It comes down to a mental health thing. I had to do what I had to do to get stuff done, which was a lot of work along the way. And a lot of that work also required finding more funding to get this trip done, trying to get my message across to the world and help the world through sustainable tourism, responsible tourism, peace through tourism, and getting companies on board who want to support this mission. And that took a lot of work day in, day out. I walked around Durrës. I wasn't that impressed, and I didn't like the port, the way I was treated by men. The men in Albania were some of the worst besides Italy. I felt I got really poor, like catcalled to the nth degree in Albania, especially in Durrës and Tirana. Italy is a country that is like my least favorite country for the sole purpose that it is the only country in the world that I've gotten catcalled and harassed in public more than any other country in the world. I mean, I love everything else about Italy. My last name is Italian, but you know, and it kind of carried over to Albania. There's a lot of back and forth between Italy and Albania, and I just felt that I got a lot of that in Albania too. I didn't really like it. I didn't really enjoy that, and that's why I was a little bit not impressed. I went to bed at 8 o'clock, and I was up the next morning to head to the train station, which was this weird station, which was this weird area that had these really broken down buses going to various places. Okay, I didn't know where I was going. A lot of times I didn't really know where I was going. I just wanted to get somewhere different, and I would kind of leave that up to the locals to tell me about. This expedition required a lot of planning when it came to meeting with university students and high school students and planting the trees and everything, which was in around 40 countries. But otherwise, I really tried to listen to the locals on where they said the best places were to go. And they told me once I arrived at the bus station, the Albanian Alps is where you should go. After being dropped off to the bus station by a taxi, I tried to find a bus going to Shkodër. The only one leaving was one that was right in front of me. So the bus driver hopped out to go catch this shirtane. I don't know what that is. I don't know why I had that in there, but he couldn't. So I got out and talked to these men who were virtually licking my ass. Again, the sexual harassment was immense there and was so frustrating to me. I was fully covered too. Didn't have my hair down like this. You know, I had my hair up in a disgusting bun. I mean, I didn't care how I looked on this trip. And they said they'd take me to the Albanian Alps, which is where I wanted so badly to go. They said that the bus left in 3 hours, but I couldn't wait that long. So I walked to find a bus going to Tirana and then to Tete. I found one.
Getting around in Albania is so hard. Like, no, there's no bus stations anywhere. It's like, it's so hard. Being honest, I'm really tired. I feel like I'm always tired on this trip, and I just need to get to nature because I'm going crazy being in cities. Really hard because I'm trying to show the beauty of every country to promote peace through tourism, but when you're so tired and you can't find the beauty, it's like I've been the only tourist that I've seen since I arrived in Albania. I haven't seen one tourist or traveler or backpacker or anything. To get to the Albanian Alps, it's like 8 different buses through like 10 cities and like an all-day ride just to get there, and then you're stuck there. So I'm already behind schedule, but I'm hoping that once I get to the Alps, I'll be able to clear my head and then to move on to the next country.
and let me tell you, the bus was really tacky. I didn't care though, as long as I was not getting gawked at by the male species. You know what? In this day and age, with the way that our brains have developed as humans and how much we've been able to educate ourselves and communicate with one another, I don't think that men should have the right to sexually harass women in public anymore. I know that it's human nature as primates, like males, to like catch the woman and to do whatever and like be literal animals. And I know that that's human nature, but we're educated enough in this day and time to know that that makes women feel really uncomfortable, especially foreign women who are not from that area. It makes them feel really uncomfortable and violated. And it's like they don't have to be that way towards foreign women. They can learn, they can know. There's social media, there's technology, there's articles, there's laws, and there's just so much to know to not make that such a common thing around the world where men are just sexually harassing women. This was very frustrating for me, if you can't tell. It's taken me back. Once I got on the bus, my memories kind of come back now, and I just want to like share this with you. The bus was really rugged riding into the night. It was a long like 4-hour ride, and the road was very rugged and bumpy as well. The guy who was in the passenger seat of the bus got car sick. His head was out the window the whole time, and the guy to my right was getting car sick as well. It was so surprising that I was not feeling car sick, considering that I get car sick really easily. Anyways, the bus ended up breaking down, and it was like, I was like, what are we gonna do? There was no cell phone reception, so we just kind of had to wait. For them to call someone, a passerby. Ended up waiting there for like an hour until they fixed whatever was going on with the bus. So right now we're in the middle of the Albanian Alps. I'm stranded because some guy, his tire fell off his car, and so I took a van. The guy doesn't have a license to drive, but I didn't know. There's no tourists. It's just me and 4 other guys and a woman who I think one of them is her husband. It's beautiful here. That's the moon over the Crescent Mountains here in Albania. It's September 22nd. I'm supposed to stay in Theth, up the mountain. It's supposed to take another 2 hours to get up there. I'm a little nervous right now because it's kind of steep drop-offs, and we were supposed to be there earlier while it was still daylight. So I'm drinking my little emergency bottle of something that I got in Liechtenstein, and it's the only form of alcohol that I have with me. But I'm staying in Theth for I think a couple days while I kind of get some work done. But it's all a matter of if we get there or not. So we're just playing the waiting game now. It's been about an hour so far, so we'll see how it goes. No service in the middle of the wild. We'll see. And this is like normal. You're gonna take a bus in a developing country. It's kind of stuff that you have to be prepared for. Yeah. So if you do go on a long bus ride, say it's like you're going to Machu Picchu in Peru or Albanian Alps or Pakistan, whatever kind of rugged bus ride that you're gonna embark on that is known for being a little bit dangerous, make sure to bring water, snacks, those basic things that you'll need to hold yourself out for a few days if you need to, because you just never know, and plenty of stories about bus breakdowns. So just word of the wise. So I remember we got there. Tethe is a really, really small mountain town. It's very, very tiny. And so the bed and breakfast, they close at a certain point and then you can't really get in. This is my experience. So it's like there was no one to help check you in or whatnot. I ended up talking to one of the men that was in the bus and asking him, because it was so late and, you know, I passed the check-in time for being able to check in my bed and breakfast. I asked him if there was a place where I could lay my head for the night. And he kind of led me to this rustic kind of stone building. And he said that someone he knew owned it. And so to give him, you know, some cash and I could stay there for the night. I don't remember. I think it was something like 15 euros. It was really old. It was a freezing cold room, but there were a lot of blankets and it was just like this room. I don't even remember what else was around. And then the next morning I pack up my stuff and I go to my actual bed and breakfast, which is what I was talking about in my journal. So that one I was able to check in early, rested, got a nap in. It was a really cute place. If I can put it up here, I will. Some photos of it. now I'm in the Albanian Alps. I arrived here last night. And it's actually really pretty. I've had kind of a rough week concerning just being really exhausted in the expedition and all the work that's been involved. So I came to the mountains to kind of rejuvenate and replenish myself, my emotional well-being, before I head on to the rest of Eastern Europe and then more skull meetings. The state of mind is the most important thing, I know, and right now it's really lacking, and I'm just feeling really down and really overwhelmed and really tired. So I came here to kind of get away from it all and just kind of be immersed in nature for a day or two. I'm hoping that it rejuvenates my being at this point, and so we'll see. Hopefully I get a good night's sleep, and then tomorrow I'm on the road all day. So, but you really can't beat this. I mean, it's gorgeous, and it's like 75 out right now. So I'm gonna spend some time hiking, and then yeah, we'll see how it goes. I decided to just, after a little bit of rest, I packed up my little bag and I decided to just go explore Tethé and like go for a hike and go by the river, which was kind of dried up. And I was thinking, okay, what can I take as like a little picnic? So there was one little shop, really, and I was like, can you guys make a sandwich or something? It was like a grocery store, but I wanted to kind of grab like a sandwich or something for a picnic for my hike. And they ended up giving me like a baguette, a tomato. I think there was even like a piece of cheese, and I managed to get a bottle of wine. That was pretty much it. And so I took that with me. Didn't have any silverware or anything. Found a really nice place on the mountain, kind of threw my boots up, listened to some nice calm music, I think Iron and Wine at that moment, and had my little picnic and just relaxed. I asked the local people if they could like make me a sandwich for my hike, and this is what they gave me. Just like a bunch of vegetables and some hot dogs and a piece of bread. Ultimate nature. It was just total off the beaten path. I didn't have any equipment with me, but then again, I didn't go too far. I didn't have any sort of survival equipment with me, any compass, lighter, anything, because it wasn't that kind of trip. So I made sure that I was only about half an hour away from the bed and breakfast, but it was incredibly stunning and made up for all of the harassment that I had been receiving in the prior day or so. So weird. It's like all rock here. It's probably why they put these fences up. I just want to sit over there and drink my wine, but okay, I found my spot in the shade under this pine tree with this view. Totally alone. Well, I drink wine alone. That's how we do. So yeah, I stayed there for like 4 days. That was really a very serene experience in Albania. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and that was one of the moments on my expedition where I realized how much I truly value my introversion and being alone with my thoughts and being able to dive deep into that introspective, perspective, observant mind and just be with myself.
Across the universe, pools of sorrow, waves of joy drifting through my open.
And fully enjoy those moments of being alone and being in this place and being in nature and thinking and reminiscing and kind of absorbing it all. Like the people that I connected with, the bus ride there, the ferry ride there, the food that I'm eating, the place where I'm staying, the cows that are just roaming around, and the chickens, and like waking up in Tethé was you wake up to the roosters sort of thing. It's very rural farming and small town life. I really love that, and being able to go on those hikes, I was able to really put it all into perspective and really appreciate it and appreciate the moments that I had, appreciate that I put myself in this situation. And I value those moments that I had alone, those moments that I didn't have to share with anyone, didn't want to share with anyone. And like, I know I'm a super big loner and everything, but if there were like a super hot guy sitting next to me, I think that would make things like a little cooler out here. Yeah. I've really kept those moments to myself until this video right now. I hadn't really talked about my experience in Albania to anyone except for my parents and maybe my brother. You know, these are the stories that people will be like, well, how was your experience in Albania? I'd be like, great, went to the Albanian Alps and it was awesome. But it goes so much deeper than that. And to be able to share these stories with you in a much deeper sense, truer to my heart and more real and unscripted, and kind of diving into these little notes and elements that I created throughout my travels is really special. And I hope you enjoy them. And again, they're my experiences and they're my stories, and they might not be what you're looking for. If you're looking to travel to Albania, you might want a completely different experience, but this was mine and this is what I'm able to share and comfortable to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed. And with that said, be sure to like this video if you liked it, as it took me a lot of time to create and it really supports my channel. And be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer winner, everyone would fall in love with me. I love